I have come to you now at this precise moment because your life has reached a turning point. You may not see it yet with your physical eyes. You may look around at your house, your job, your relationships, and they may look exactly the same as they did yesterday. But do not be deceived by the surface. A door inside you has already cracked open, and light is spilling through. When the heart is ready, even one small sentence, one moment of true listening can change the whole direction of a life. This is why this talk has found you. It is not an accident of the algorithm. It is a synchronicity of the soul. You are standing at the edge of something new, and deep down, beneath the noise of your mind, you know it. In this talk, I will take you into the space where fear melts and the mind becomes light. I will show you how to stop fighting with yourself, how to drop the heavy armor you have been carrying for decades. I will show you how to listen to the quiet truth that has always been waiting inside you, patient, unmoving, eternal. You will leave this communion with a new way to see your life, a new way to breathe, a new way to be. You will feel a strength that does not come from effort, grinding, or struggle, but from awareness. You will see that nothing outside you needs to change for your freedom to begin. You do not need a new location. You do not need a new partner. You do not need more money in the bank. Only you need to wake up. But before we enter this garden of truth, I ask you for a small gesture of connection. If you feel a magnetic pull in these words, if you feel that you are ready to stop sleeping and start living, express it. Click the like button, not for the machine, but as a signal to your own unconscious mind that you are saying yes to this message. And if you wish to walk this path with us, to be part of a rebellion of consciousness, ensure you represent yourself by subscribing. It is a small click for the hand, but a declaration for the spirit. Now listen, you have been told many things about how life should be. From the moment you were born, you were not looked at as a being of light. You were looked at as raw material to be molded. The parents, the teachers, the priests, the politicians, they all rushed toward you to give you a shape. They have pushed you to chase goals that never filled you. They told you success is in the future. They told you happiness is something to be earned. You have been carrying other people's fears, other people's voices, other people's ideas of who you should become, and this has made you tired. Look at yourself. Look at the tiredness in your eyes. It is not physical tiredness. Sleep does not cure it. It is a metaphysical exhaustion. You are tired of pretending. You are tired of holding up a mask that is too heavy for your face. You are confused and far from yourself. But the truth is simple, dangerously simple. You do not need to become someone else. You do not need to improve yourself, because the self society gave you is a lie, and you cannot improve a lie. You can only discard it. You only need to return to who you are. And so, in this message, I will help you turn toward yourself again, gently, slowly, without force. This is the beginning of real change. Today I will take you on a long journey in words. I will speak to the parts of you that have been silent for years. I will open doors you forgot you had. Together we will move through the lies your mind has carried, the pain your heart has stored, and the beauty your soul has hidden. If you value this work, if you feel that these words are water for your thirsty roots, consider supporting this channel. There is a join button below. By becoming a member, you help us keep this light burning for others who are still stumbling in the dark, or if you feel a sudden gratitude, a super thanks is a way to flow that energy back. It is not a payment, it is a sharing of energy. I will show you why you suffer. You think you suffer because of the economy or your childhood or your bad luck. No. You suffer because you are asleep. I will show you why you feel lost, why your life has moments that seem empty even when they are full of activity. And I will also show you the simple shift that brings light into all of it. I will share truths that may sound gentle, but do not be fooled. Their power is deep. They are like water, soft, but they can cut through rock. As you listen, pieces of your life will fit together in new ways. Here is something most people completely miss. They think awakening begins with knowledge. They read books, they go to seminars, they gather information. They think it begins with discipline, standing on your head, fasting, torturing the body. They think it begins with trying to become spiritual. But the truth is far simpler and far more mysterious. Awakening begins when life itself brings you to a threshold you did not plan, a threshold you cannot force, a threshold that appears only when something in you has silently ripened. And as I speak to you, I can feel that ripeness in you. I am not speaking to the crowd, I am speaking to you. Can you feel it? A quiet warmth that has been growing behind your eyes for many years, waiting for the right moment to rise into light, waiting for the noise of your old life to become too small for you to hide inside it any longer. You see, there comes a time when inner restlessness is no longer a problem. The mind says, I am restless, something is wrong, I must fix it. But the mystic says, I am restless, the wind is blowing, the ship is ready to sail. This restlessness is a sign that something deep in you has begun to move, a sign that your soul has grown tired of the old rooms it lived in, tired of repeating the same patterns, the same arguments, the same desires, the same frustrations like a broken record. Tired of shrinking itself to fit into a life that was never big enough for the truth living inside you. And this restlessness, this longing, this strange pull towards something you cannot name, it is the beginning of readiness. It is life whispering to you that something old is ending. Do not mourn the ending. The seed must break for the flower to be born. That the fruit has taken enough sun, enough rain, enough wind, and now, without any force, without any push, it falls from the tree on its own. In that falling, there is no struggle. The fruit does not cry out, I am falling. It simply lets go. There is only completion. And when this moment arrives, and it has arrived for you now, otherwise you would have clicked away minutes ago, something deeper begins to stir inside. Something that was patient for so long it almost stopped moving. Something that waited through your confusions, waited through your distractions, waited through your pain, waited even when you turned away from yourself to chase shadows in the marketplace. But now, like the river that swells when winter snow begins to melt, your inner life is overflowing its banks. And that overflow is not an accident. It is a sign that you are standing on the threshold of a new beginning. Most people try to fix this feeling. They run from it. They think it is depression or anxiety or a midlife crisis. They try to silence it with work, with noise, with busy days and heavy nights. They drink alcohol to numb it. They scroll through screens to ignore it. But you are here because you did not run this time. You allowed the pull to bring you to this moment. You allowed yourself to hear the faint sound behind your thoughts. And that sound, that whisper, that inner trembling, it is the first sign of awakening. It is the soul saying, enough, enough of the old, enough of the borrowed life, enough of the masks. Come closer now, come home. And this is why readiness never happens through effort. You cannot try to be ready. Can you try to go to sleep? If you try, you will stay awake. Sleep comes when you let go. Readiness happens the same way the sun rises. Slowly, naturally, without your push, without your will. The heart ripens in silence. The being ripens in darkness. And when it is ready, life brings the right person, the right moment, the right teaching. Not a second too soon, not a second too late. That is why this message found you now. That is why these words are reaching you in this exact breath. Because something in you is ripe for truth, ripe for peace, ripe for the next step. If you are finding resonance in this, if you feel your own ripeness acknowledging these words, please leave a comment below. Write simply, I am ready. Let this be your mantra for this moment. Let the universe see your declaration. And if you listen closely, you can feel it. A soft pull, a gentle opening, a sense that the old no longer holds you the way it once did. That is the threshold, and you are standing on it. When this moment arrives, something deeper begins to move inside you, and if you listen closely, you can hear its call. And now that you have tasted the quiet truth of this threshold, I will take you a little deeper, because what rises after readiness is not loud. It is not dramatic. It is not a shout from the heavens or a sudden explosion of clarity. What comes next is far more gentle, far more intimate, far more mysterious. What I am about to share might seem almost too simple at first. The mind loves complexity, the mind loves puzzles. If I give you a complex philosophy, your ego will be very happy. It will say, this is difficult, I must study this. But truth is not difficult, truth is naked. Its power is immense precisely because it is simple. Once you understand it, you will see why you were brought to this moment, why this message reached you now, and why your life has been slowly guiding you toward a call you could not hear before. The call of your own being never arrives with noise. It always comes as silence. It always appears as a small softness in the heart, a slight shift in your breath, a sudden tenderness toward your own pain, a feeling that something invisible has touched you. That is how the call begins, and that is why so many people miss it. They are waiting for the sky to open, for a sign written in fire. They are waiting for a voice from outside, a god, a guru, a savior, to tell them what to do. But the real voice never comes from outside. It rises from the deepest part of your own being, like a seed breaking open in the dark soil. And just as the seed does not make a sound when it breaks, have you ever heard a seed break? It is the most silent explosion in existence. The call inside you has been opening quietly, gently, almost unnoticed. You may not have recognized it, but this soft opening has been happening in you for a long time. Every moment when you felt tired of pretending, that was the call. Every moment when you sensed that your life was no longer aligned with your truth, that was the call. Every moment when silence felt more honest than words, you were hearing the first whispers. When you felt a strange longing without knowing what you longed for. When your old pleasures lost their sweetness, the party was loud, but you felt alone. The food was expensive, but it tasted like ash. When your old routines felt heavy, when your old identity no longer fit you, the call was already working. It was brushing against the inner walls of your being, asking for a space, asking for light, asking to be heard. And because you finally stopped running, because you finally paused long enough to feel, perhaps out of exhaustion, perhaps out of suffering, the call grew stronger, not in volume but in presence. It surrounded you like a soft wind, pushing the boat of your life out of the harbor where it had been tied for years. You may not have known it then, but that gentle push was the beginning of your journey toward yourself. Ignoring this call creates suffering. Understand the nature of suffering. It is nothing but resistance to your own truth. The call is not a demand from outside. It is the natural movement of your own being trying to return home. When you resist it, your life becomes tight. You get headaches, you get tension in the shoulders, you get ulcers. When you deny it, you feel lost. When you avoid it, you feel empty. But the moment you listen, even a little peace begins to arise on its own without effort, without force, without struggle. That is the beauty of this inner voice. It asks for nothing yet. It leads you without pushing you. It guides you without controlling you. It frees you without frightening you. And this peace you feel right now as you listen to my words, check within yourself, this soft settling inside, this quiet recognition, this small warmth spreading in your chest. This is the sign that you are hearing the call correctly. You are not imagining it. You are not chasing it. You are receiving it. And this is the real reason this talk found you at this exact moment in your life. Not because you searched for it in a search bar, not because you planned it in your calendar, not because someone told you to come here. This moment met you because the call inside you had already reached the point where it could no longer be ignored. You were ready to hear what you could not hear before. You were ready to see what had been hidden behind your own thoughts. You were ready to follow the movement of your own being. That readiness created a path, and that path brought you here. If you wish to deepen this understanding, we have compiled writings, deeper discourses in our ebooks. You will find the link in the description. It is there for those who want to carry this silence in their pocket, to read when the world gets too loud. And as you feel the call inside, you grow more clear, more steady, more alive. You will notice that it begins to pull you inward, toward depths you have not explored, toward silence you have not trusted, toward truths you were once afraid to face. But before you step fully into this inner world, you must understand something essential about the mind, because the mind does not welcome this journey easily. The mind is a politician. It wants to stay in power. The mind holds hidden chains, fear, conditioning, control. And these chains try to pull you back into the old life, the familiar identity, the comfortable prison. This call leads you inward, but the inward path is full of hidden traps the mind does not see. Let us enter them now. Let us look at the structure of your prison so that you can walk out of it. As you begin to follow this quiet call inward, as you take even the smallest step toward yourself, something subtle begins to happen around you. Something you may not notice at first, yet it shapes the entire landscape of your inner world. What I am about to share changed everything for me when I first saw it with clear eyes. Because most people walk through their whole lives without ever realizing that they are not living from their own being at all. They live inside a prison made of borrowed voices, inherited beliefs, second-hand fears, and expectations that never belong to them. And this prison is so old, so familiar, so deeply woven into the fabric of their daily life that they mistake it for themselves. They think this cage is natural. They think these walls are truth. They think this noise inside their mind is their own voice. But it is not. It never was. When you were very young, you arrived here as pure openness, pure innocence, pure presence. Look at a baby, look into its eyes. There is no personality there, only presence. No, I am a Christian, I am a Hindu, I am a communist, just I am. You knew nothing about how you should be. You knew nothing about what you should become. You were simply here, breathing, watching, feeling, flowing. And then the world began to shape you. Not out of malice, your parents loved you, your teachers thought they were helping, but out of blindness. Only a blind man leads another blind man into a pit. Family, culture, society, all of them began to pour their fears into your soft, unformed being. They told you what to believe and what to dismiss. They told you what is good and what is wrong. They told you how to behave, how to fit in, how to please, how to survive, how to hide your truth so others would not feel threatened by your light. They handed you a script, and slowly, without even noticing, you began to repeat it. You became like a parrot. Do you know the parrot? It can repeat the Vedas, it can repeat the Bible, but it understands nothing. It is just a mechanism. You began learning words you never understood, repeating phrases without knowing their meaning, carrying burdens without knowing their weight, living a life that was not born from your own essence. All these outside voices formed layers of noise within you, layer over layer, until your natural joy became buried beneath them like a mirror covered in dust, and you forgot the shine beneath. You forgot the clarity, the innocence, the vastness that once lived freely inside you. And as the dust grew thicker, you began to believe that the dust was you. You began to think that the noise was your own voice. You began to treat the prison as home. You decorated the prison cells. You put up curtains. You put up paintings. You bought a nice television for your cell. And you said, "This is my life. This is why people suffer. Not because life is cruel. Existence is compassionate. It gives you breath every moment. You suffer because you live as someone you are not. You wear masks that have grown too tight. They cut into your skin. You hold beliefs that suffocate your own truth. You build identities out of fear and then wonder why life feels heavy. But suffering has a purpose, a sacred purpose. Do not hate your suffering. Respect it. It is trying to wake you up. It shakes you, it unsettles you, it cracks the walls of that false prison just enough for light to enter. And when light enters, when awareness touches these borrowed voices, you begin to see something astonishing. You begin to see that none of these voices came from your own being, not one. The voice that says you are not good enough, that is not you, that is your father or your teacher. The voice that says you must be rich to be happy, that is not you, that is the society. They were planted in you, they were spoken into you, they were given to you by others who were also trapped, also afraid, also living behind masks. And once you see this, once you feel even one moment of clarity, a quiet breath rises inside you. A breath that says, enough, enough pretending, enough carrying the weight of other people's fears, enough shrinking to fit a world that never knew how to honor your depth, enough living a life that feels borrowed, enough. When this realization comes, something miraculous happens without effort. The prison begins to dissolve. Not because you fight it. If you fight the darkness, you will lose. You cannot fight darkness with a sword. You can only bring in a light. The prison dissolves because you see it for what it is, not your home. The dust begins to fall away from the mirror, not because you scrub it violently, but because your seeing is light enough to clear it. And as the mirror clears, you begin to catch glimpses of your own face, your real face, the face you had before the world told you who to be. This is the beginning of freedom, not rebellion. Rebellion is just a reaction. If you rebel against your father, you are still controlled by your father. Freedom is not reaction, it is understanding. It is not resistance, not force, just the simple act of seeing. Seeing the borrowed voices, seeing the old patterns, seeing the fears that were never yours. And when you see them, they crumble, because untruth cannot survive the touch of awareness. But even when these voices fade, even when the old scripts begin to loosen, there is another layer beneath them. The mind is very cunning. It has a backup plan, a subtler force that holds you back even more strongly. It is the gatekeeper of the prison. Let us enter that now. Let us look at the face of this gatekeeper. As the old voices begin to loosen their grip on you, as the dust of other people's expectations slowly drifts away from the mirror of your being, something deeper starts to reveal itself. Something older than conditioning, something more subtle than borrowed beliefs. And here is where most seekers turn back. They come to the edge of the known. They look into the mist of the unknown, and they freeze. Because what rises next feels so intimate, so heavy, so personal, that they believe it is an unchangeable part of themselves. They think, this is just who I am. I am a fearful person. I am a worried person. But it is not. What I am pointing to is fear, the great illusion, the quiet shadow sitting behind every choice you have ever made, every hesitation that stopped your hand, every tightness in your chest, every moment when you said no to your own growth because yes felt too dangerous. Fear is the most ancient chain the mind uses to keep you small. It is the gatekeeper of the prison. The prison walls are built of thoughts, but the gate is locked by fear. And unless you understand the nature of this lock, you cannot open it. You cannot smash it. You cannot pick it with a trick. You can only dissolve it with understanding. You must understand that fear has no real substance. This is the most important thing to grasp, and yet the hardest for the mind to accept. The mind says, but I feel it. My heart races, my hands sweat, my stomach turns. It is real. Yes, the reaction is real, the feeling is real, but the object of the fear is almost always an illusion. Fear survives only when you refuse to look at it. It survives only in the shadows. It is like a fungus that grows only where the sun does not reach. If you turn and look at it directly, if you bring the light of your consciousness to it, it begins to evaporate. Fear never speaks in truth. Have you ever noticed this? Fear never says, look at this present moment, everything is okay. No. It speaks in stories, it speaks in what-ifs. It shows you false images of the future. It is a projector of nightmares. It shows you images filled with failure, rejection, loss, humiliation, pain. If I speak my truth, they will leave me. If I change my job, I will starve. If I open my heart, I will be crushed. And even though these images have no reality, they have not happened, they are just smoke in the mind. The mind clings to them because the mind is addicted to safety. It is addicted to the familiar. Even if the familiar is a hell, the mind prefers it to an unknown heaven. So fear becomes the blanket the mind wraps itself in, a heavy, suffocating blanket. And because these stories feel vivid, almost like dreams that haunt you in daylight, you believe them. You believe the future is dangerous. You believe stepping inward will break you. You believe silence is empty and terrifying. You believe your truth is too fragile to survive in this world. And this belief, this single misunderstood belief, is the root of all your suffering. Fear stops you from taking the simplest steps towards yourself. It whispers that you will be alone if you grow. It uses your deepest need for connection against you. It says, stay small and you will be loved. Be authentic and you will be cast out. But I tell you, the love you get by being small is not love. It is just pity. It is just mutual usage. Real love can only happen between two real people. If you are fake and the other is fake, how can there be love? There is only a play, a drama of two masks kissing each other. The faces behind the masks remain lonely. Fear tells you you are not ready. It says, wait, tomorrow, next year, when the kids are grown, when the bank account is full. It tells you you are not strong enough, not wise enough, not worthy enough. And the mind, trembling behind these stories, obeys. It stays where it is. It circles the same problems like a dog chasing its tail. It chooses the same patterns. It clings to the same habits, even when they bring only pain, because the pain is familiar. It is like a child terrified of the dark, crying at the shadows on the wall. The shadows look like monsters. The child screams, but the parent comes and turns on the light. Where do the monsters go? Do they run away? Do they hide under the bed? No, they vanish. They never were. They were just the absence of light. That is the nature of fear. It is a shadow, and shadows cannot survive light. Awareness is that light. Awareness is the moment you turn toward fear instead of running away from it. Most people spend their entire energy running. They build huge lives, huge careers, huge reputations just to run away from the fear of being nothing. But if you stop, if you turn around, if you look the monster in the eye, you will see it is paper. Awareness is when you feel the tightness in your chest and you do not reach for a cigarette or a phone or a distraction. You stay with the tightness. You say, okay, fear is here. Let me taste it. Let me see it. You do not judge it. You do not say, I shouldn't be afraid. That is just another fear, the fear of fear. You simply watch. There is an ancient story in the East about a man walking on a path at dusk. He sees a snake lying across the road. He is terrified. He jumps back. His heart pounds. He is ready to run or to fight. But then a villager comes with a lantern. The light falls on the path. The man looks again. It is not a snake. It is a rope. Now tell me, where did the snake go? Did the rope kill the snake? Did the snake transform into a rope? No, the snake was never there. It was a projection of the man's mind, but his fear was real, his sweat was real, his heart attack could have been real. This is your life. You are reacting to ropes as if they are snakes. You are reacting to illusions, trembling before something that never existed. The rope has always been a rope. The danger has always been imagined. When awareness touches fear, fear dissolves the way night dissolves when the sun touches the horizon. You don't need to be courageous. Society tells you, be brave, fight your fear. I say no. Courage is not the opposite of fear. Courage is just fear that has said its prayers. Courage is still a fight. If you fight fear, you give it reality. You are saying, you are a real monster, and I will defeat you. but you cannot defeat a shadow. You will only exhaust yourself punching the air. Awareness ends fear by seeing its unreality. It sees the rope, and once you see the rope, you cannot be afraid of the snake anymore. Can you? Once you know it is a rope, can you force yourself to tremble? You cannot. The spell is broken. And this seeing, this clear vision, this simple act of turning inward and watching is enough to free you. It frees you because it breaks the hypnosis. It frees you because it shows you that what you feared was never the truth of your life, only the imagination of your mind. If this understanding is hitting you like a bell ringing in a silent room, if you realize you have been running from ropes your whole life, take a moment to acknowledge it. In the comments write, "I see the rope." Let this be your declaration of waking up. And if you want to support us in spreading this light, consider using the Super Thanks button below. It helps us keep the lantern burning for other travelers on this dark path. And as fear loosens, as the shadow thins, something even more subtle begins to rise. Do not think the battle is over. The ego has many layers of defense. When the outer wall of fear is breached, you meet the inner citadel, a final trick of the mind, a final attempt to hold on to the old life. It comes wrapped not in panic, not in stories of danger, but in the quiet, rational insistence that you must stay in control. Control. It sounds like such a good word. He is a man of control. She has her life under control. We praise it, we worship it. But I tell you, control is the ego's last defense. It is the most delicate chain the mind uses to keep you from stepping into the vastness of your own being. As the shadow of fear begins to fade under the soft light of your awareness, as those imagined dangers loosen their hold on your breath and your body, you step into a territory the mind protects with even more subtlety. What I am about to share is something seekers often misunderstand because it hides behind a false strength, a false clarity, a false sense of safety. It feels like certainty. It feels like order. It feels like taking charge of one's life. I am the captain of my ship, you say. I am the master of my destiny. But beneath all that poetry, it is just fear wearing a suit and tie. This chain is control. Control looks innocent at first. It looks reasonable. It looks wise. It whispers that you need to manage every outcome. If I don't worry about it, who will? It tells you to hold every thread, decide every direction, protect yourself from the unknown, prepare for every possibility. It tells you that if you relax even for a moment, everything will fall apart. The world will stop spinning, the sun will crash, your family will collapse, your business will fail. You carry the weight of the universe on your shoulders like Atlas, and you think this is responsibility. And because fear has shaken you for so long, because borrowed voices have confused you for so long, you cling to this sense of control as if it is the only stable ground beneath your feet. You grip the steering wheel of life so hard your knuckles turn white. But control is not stability. Control is tension. Look at your body right now. Are your shoulders relaxed? Is your jaw loose? Or are you holding? That holding is control. Control is the fist that cannot open. Control is the breath that cannot fully release. Control is the state of always preparing, always guarding, always anticipating danger even when the danger is not there. Control is a cage the ego builds out of caution and then calls it responsibility. You may not realize it, But control blocks the most important movement of the soul, trust. You cannot trust and control at the same time. Trust means the hands are open. Control means the hands are closed. When you hold tightly to control, you do not allow life to flow through you. You become a dam. You block the river. And what happens to water when it is blocked? It becomes stagnant. It becomes dead. You do not allow existence to guide you. You do not allow your being to unfold naturally like a flower opening to the sun. Does the flower have a business plan for how to open? Does it have a strategy meeting? Does it say, I will open 2 petals at 8 a.m., but only if the weather is good? No. It trusts, it responds, it allows. Instead, you force yourself into shapes that feel safe, predictable, small, and slowly, without even noticing, your spontaneity begins to die because spontaneity cannot live inside a cage. Creativity becomes dull because creativity arises only when the mind is relaxed, when the mind is playing, not working. Joy becomes shallow because joy needs space to dance. You cannot dance in a coffin, and a life of total control is a coffin. Even love becomes strained because love cannot bloom in a fist. Love needs an open hand. Have you ever tried to grab water? The harder you grab, the faster it slips through your fingers. But if you cup your hands open, the water stays. Love is like water, life is like water. Control is the ego's armor. It is the shell you built around yourself when you first felt unsafe. It formed in childhood. Maybe your parents were unpredictable. Maybe the world felt too big. So you said, I will control everything, then I will be safe. It's strengthened through pain. And now, even when you no longer need it, the ego holds it tightly, terrified that without it you will fall apart. But this armor is not protecting you, it is imprisoning you. It keeps you from discovering the softness, the tenderness, the vulnerability that makes life rich. A rock is very strong, very controlled, but it is dead. A flower is very fragile, very vulnerable, but it is alive. Do you want to be a rock or a flower? Control keeps you from allowing the unknown to touch you, and God is the unknown. Truth is the unknown. Love is the unknown. If you block the unknown, you block God. You block life. It keeps you from surrendering into the deeper rhythm of existence, the rhythm that carries you with grace when you stop trying to push the river. You see, surrender is not weakness. The military has destroyed this word for you. In war, surrender means defeat. It means you have lost. But in the inner world, surrender is the only victory. Surrender is not giving up. Surrender is not collapse. Surrender is returning to your natural flow, the flow you had before the world taught you to defend yourself against life. Surrender is trusting your own being. Surrender is letting life breathe through you. Surrender is allowing the river to carry you instead of fighting against its current. Imagine you are in a wild river. You are trying to swim upstream. You are fighting the current. You are exhausted. You are drowning. This is your life of control. Now imagine you stop swimming, you just float. The current takes you, it supports you. You are moving faster than you ever could by swimming, but you are doing nothing. The river is doing the work. That is surrender. And the moment you surrender even a little, something beautiful begins to happen. Your movements soften, your breath deepens, your heart becomes light. The world becomes less threatening, not because it changed, the river is the same, but because you changed how you meet it. You are no longer an enemy of life, you are a part of it. Think of a dancer who tries too hard to be perfect. They are counting the steps. 1, 2, 3, 4. Their face is tense. Every movement becomes stiff. Every gesture becomes forced. The beauty disappears because control has replaced grace. The audience feels uncomfortable watching them, but when the dancer lets go even slightly, when they stop doing the dance and let the dance do them, when the body stops fighting itself, the dance becomes fluid again. The music moves through it. The body remembers its natural intelligence. The dancer disappears. Only the dance remains. That is surrender. Or think of a hand clenched into a hard fist. It cannot hold anything. It cannot touch anything gently. It cannot caress the face of a lover. It cannot receive a gift. If God wants to give you a diamond, but your hand is a fist, how will you receive it? But the moment it opens, the moment it lets go, the whole world can be felt again. That is surrender. Only when control drops does awakening begin. Because control keeps the old patterns alive. Control keeps fear alive. Control keeps the borrowed voices alive. It is the glue that holds the fake personality together. When control dissolves, you become available to life in a new way, a way you have never tasted before. You become spacious. You become silent. You become receptive. And in this receptivity, in this openness, in this fresh vulnerability, the inner world begins to expand like a sky clearing after a long storm. If you are tired of holding up the sky, if you are tired of the fist, maybe it is time to open the hand. If you want to learn the art of this opening, our channel offers exclusive guidance for those who join as members. It is a space for those who are serious about dropping the armor, and for those who wish to read the deeper maps of this territory. Our ebooks are waiting for you in the description. As the clouds part, as the mind loses its grip, as the inner space becomes vast and quiet and full, you enter the doorway where true transformation begins. Once control breaks, a new kind of space opens inside you, vast, quiet, full. And this space is the beginning of true transformation. As the tightness of control loosens within you, as the armor of the ego begins to crack and fall away, you will notice a strange and beautiful shift taking place. A shift so subtle that if you are not present, you may overlook it entirely. It does not arrive with celebration. It does not shout. It does not announce itself with fireworks. Real godliness never makes noise. Only empty wagons make noise. It comes like dusk settling over a quiet lake. Like a slow breath you didn't know you were holding, finally being released. What I am about to open for you now might feel simple, almost too simple for the mind to value. The mind will say, is this it? Just this? Yes, just this. But it is the doorway through which every seeker must pass. Buddha passed through it. Jesus passed through it. You must pass through it. Because without it, awakening remains a distant idea, a philosophy, a dinner table conversation. With it, awakening becomes a lived reality. I am speaking of silence, not the outer silence. You can go to the Himalayas, you can sit in a cave, you can escape the world. That is easy. But if your mind is still chattering, if your mind is still worrying about what is happening back home, there is no silence. You have brought the marketplace into the cave. I am speaking of the inner silence that grows the way night grows, slowly, gently, without effort. This inner silence is not empty. The mind thinks silence means nothingness, a blank space, a void, a death. That is why the mind is afraid of silence. It thinks, If I am silent, I will cease to exist. But silence is fullness. Silence is richness. Silence is the overflowing presence of your own being. It is the place where words cannot reach, where thoughts cannot control, where fears cannot breathe. It is the place where you begin to hear something far more intimate than thought, something deeper than emotion, something more ancient than your personality. When silence touches you even for a moment, you realize that everything you have been searching for outside, in money, in sex, in power, in relationships, has always been waiting quietly inside. Like a lake waiting for the wind to stop so it can reveal its own reflection again. This silence is your natural state. You do not have to create it. You do not have to achieve it. You just have to remember it. You were born in it. You lived in it as a child before the world filled your mind with noise. Watch a child playing alone. They are in a deep silence. Even if they are making sounds, there is a presence there. You touched it in moments of wonder. When you looked at a sunset, and for a second the mind stopped. There was just beauty. There was no you watching the sunset. There was just the sunset. That was silence. In moments of play, in moments when your heart was simple and open and unafraid, and even now, right now, behind all your thoughts, behind all your worries, behind all your plans and memories and identities, silence is still there. It is the background of the painting. The clouds come and go, but the sky remains. Thoughts come and go, but the silence remains. Untouched, unchanged, unmoved, it waits for you, like a mother waits for her child to return home. It is not angry that you left. It does not judge you for staying away so long. It just waits. And the moment you stop running, the moment you stop clinging to control, the moment you stop hiding in thought, silence rises like a tide. True healing happens in silence, not in thinking. You cannot think your way out of a problem created by thinking. That is like trying to wash blood off your hands with blood. You cannot analyze your way to peace. Analysis is paralysis. Healing happens in resting. When you enter this inner silence, when you allow yourself to sink into it, the way a tired body sinks into warm water, you begin to feel a soft, soothing balm on wounds you didn't even know were still open. Old pains lose their shape. They start to blur. Old fears soften. They lose their sharp edges. Old stories crumble. The narrative of poor me dissolves because there is no audience in the silence. Silence holds you without expectation. Silence embraces you without judgment. Silence restores you without effort. It does not fix you because you are not a machine to be fixed. It reveals that you were never broken. You were just clouded. Meditation is nothing but returning to this silence. People make meditation so complicated. They have techniques, methods, mantras, postures. Those are all just tricks to keep the mind busy so the silence can slip in through the back door. But the essence of meditation is simply stopping. Stopping long enough for the natural silence of your being to rise. It is like a lake that becomes still when the wind stops blowing. The lake does nothing. The lake tries nothing. If the lake tries to be still, it will create ripples. I must be still. I must be still. That is a ripple. The lake is not responsible for stillness. Stillness happens on its own when the winds of thought finally settle. This is why meditation cannot be forced. Forcing silence only creates more noise. Silence comes when you allow life to unfold without interference. As this silence deepens, something extraordinary begins to happen. You begin to hear life in a new way. You begin to taste the world differently. The food tastes better, the water tastes sweeter, the colors are brighter. You begin to sense layers of experience that were hidden beneath the constant chatter of the mind. When the radio in your head is turned down, you can finally hear the birds singing outside. And the more you rest in silence, the more you discover that silence is not the absence of life. It is the presence of life in its purest form. And when silence reaches this depth, when it becomes a home rather than a rare visitor, you will notice that a new light begins to shine within you. A light that does not come from thought, a light that does not come from emotion, a light that is older than your name, older than your story, older than all the histories you carry. This light is the next step. After silence comes sight. After the noise settles, you begin to see who is actually sitting in the center of your being. And that discovery, that is the explosion I promised you. If you are ready to meet the one who dwells in the silence, if you are ready to face your own light, ensure you are subscribed. This journey is going deeper, and we are leaving the shallow waters behind. Share this video with a friend who is also tired of the noise. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give is a moment of silence. As silence deepens, as you sink deeper into this quiet inner lake, as the ripples settle and the noise of the mind begins to dissolve into a gentle hum in the background, another presence begins to reveal itself, not as a thought, not as a feeling, not as an idea, but as a light, soft at first, almost fragile, yet unmistakably alive. This light is awareness, the silent witness behind every breath you take, every emotion you feel, every thought that passes through your mind like clouds drifting across an open sky. What I am about to share with you now is one of the most important truths on the path inward, because without understanding awareness, silence remains only a peaceful moment, a nap for the soul. With awareness, silence becomes transformation. Awareness is the light that allows you to see everything without becoming anything. When awareness awakens, you begin to notice the movements of your mind, the way you would watch birds cross an open field. You are sitting on the grass, the birds fly by. Do you become the birds? Do you fly with them? No, you remain on the grass. You watch, you see thoughts for what they are, temporary visitors passing through the infinite space of your being. Ah, here comes a thought about dinner. Ah, here comes a worry about money. You greet them, but you do not invite them to stay for tea. You do not give them your bed. You begin to see emotions the same way, rising and falling like waves, intense one moment, gone the next. Anger comes like a storm. It rages, it screams. But if you just watch it, if you do not say, "I am angry," but instead say, "I see anger passing through," a miracle happens. The storm runs out of energy. It needs your identification to survive. Without your eye, the anger is just energy. It dissipates into the sky. You begin to see sensations move through the body like wind brushing across tall grass, a pain in the knee, a tickle in the throat. You watch. And the beauty of this seeing is that nothing needs to be controlled. Nothing needs to be resisted. Nothing needs to be changed. Awareness itself transforms everything it touches. Pain dissolves when observed. Not because pain disappears instantly, though sometimes it does, but because awareness removes the identity that fuels it. You are no longer merged with it. You are no longer saying, "This is me." You are simply watching. And the moment you begin to watch, something incredible happens. Pain loses its anchor, it loses its solidity, it becomes fluid, movable, spacious. It begins to unravel on its own because awareness does not fight pain. Awareness absorbs it the way light absorbs darkness. There is no struggle, there is no battle. There is only clarity washing away confusion. Awareness reveals the watcher behind all thoughts. And this is perhaps the most sacred realization a human being can have. You discover that there is a part of you that has remained untouched by every event in your life. Think about that. Everything has touched you, your parents, your lovers, your accidents, your diseases, your failures, your successes. They have left marks on your body, on your memory. But there is a part of you that has no marks. Thoughts have changed. You used to believe in Santa Claus, now you don't. You used to be a communist, now you are a capitalist. Beliefs are like clothes. You change them every season. Emotions have changed. The body has changed from a baby to a youth to an old man. But the watcher, the pure witnessing presence, has never changed. It has been there in childhood, watching the toys. It was there in adolescence, watching the first love. It was there in adulthood, watching the struggle for money. It was there in your happiest moments and in your darkest nights. It was there even when you did not know it was watching. And the moment you recognize this watcher, the moment you feel even a flicker of its presence, you understand something so liberating, so life-altering, that all your old fears begin to crumble. You are not your mind. You are the space in which the mind appears. You are the sky in which the clouds of thought drift. You are the candle that lights the dark room of experience. And once you experience this directly, not as philosophy, please do not make this a philosophy. Philosophy is garbage. It is just words about food. When you are hungry, I'm giving you the food. Experience this directly as a living truth. Freedom becomes your natural state. You feel unburdened, spacious, ungraspable. You feel as if a heavy cloak you have carried for years has slipped from your shoulders without effort. This is why I say awareness is not part of awakening. Awareness is awakening. When awareness is alive, nothing can bind you, nothing can drown you, nothing can imprison you. You become vast inside, and in that vastness, even the most painful memories lose their sharpness. Even the most persistent fears lose their roots. There is a simple image that can help you understand this. Imagine you are sitting beneath a wide open sky, watching clouds move above you. Some clouds are dark and heavy, full of rain and thunder. Some are bright and delicate, white and fluffy. Some move quickly, driven by a strong wind. Some linger, lazy and slow. If you identify with the clouds, your mood will change with every shift. Oh no, a dark cloud, I am depressed. Oh look, a white cloud, I am happy. You become a slave to the weather. But if you remain aware of the sky, unchanging, vast, infinite, you see that the clouds never touch the sky. Have you ever seen a cloud scratch the sky? Have you ever seen a storm leave a scar on the sky? They pass through it, but cannot disturb its nature. You are that sky. Your thoughts are those clouds. Awareness is the remembrance of your true nature. And once awareness becomes steady, once it becomes the background of your life, not just something you do for 20 minutes in the morning, but a fragrance you carry while you wash the dishes, while you drive the car, you begin to see that silence and awareness are not the end of the journey. They are the preparation. They are the clearing of the ground. They are the opening of the inner door. What lies beyond them is deeper, more intimate, more transformative than anything you have known before. If you are beginning to feel the vastness of your own sky, if you are beginning to see the clouds as just clouds, leave a comment below saying, "I am the sky." Let this be a reminder to yourself the next time a dark cloud comes. And if these words are helping you clear your sky, you can support our channel by clicking the join button. It allows us to keep broadcasting this message to clear the skies of many others. Now that silence has steadied within you, now that awareness has begun to glow behind your eyes like a small but steady flame, you are ready to walk into the most sacred terrain of this whole journey. What I am about to open for you now is not a concept. It is not a technique. It is not a belief. It is the heart of awakening itself. If the earlier steps were gentle waves washing the shore of your being, this one is the tide that pulls you into the ocean of who you truly are. You may feel it already. A quiet readiness, a subtle trembling inside, as if something in you knows that a deeper unveiling is coming. And yes, it is, because up until now, you have watched the mind, you have watched emotions, you have watched sensations, you have watched the movements that rise and fall within you. But now, it is time to recognize the one who is watching. You are not the mind. You are the watcher of the mind. This may sound simple, almost too simple, but its truth is vast. The mind is always moving. It shifts from thought to thought, from memory to imagination, from hesitation to desire, like wind changing directions. It is a monkey jumping from branch to branch. But the watcher, the silent witnessing presence, does not move. It does not change. It does not age. It does not fear. It does not hope. It is simply here, aware of whatever rises and whatever falls. And the moment you turn toward this watcher, the moment you sense its stillness, something in you relaxes so deeply that years of tension begin to melt in an instant. Because finally, you are no longer lost in the ever-changing waves of your inner world. You are standing in the ocean itself. If you look back at your life, you will see 1,000 changes. The body has changed, cells dying and being born every moment. Your beliefs have changed, your feelings have changed, your dreams have changed, your identity has changed again and again. You have been a child, a rebel, a lover, a parent, a worker, a seeker, yet something has remained untouched by all of this. Something has been constant through every joy and every heartbreak, through every beginning and every ending. That constant is the watcher. That constant is your true nature. And the discovery of this constant is the doorway to freedom, because suffering can only cling to what changes. Have you noticed this? You suffer because things change. You want the happy moment to stay, but it goes. You want the sad moment to go, but it stays. Suffering comes from clinging to the river, but the watcher is the bank of the river. It cannot cling, it just sees. Suffering cannot cling to the watcher because the watcher is beyond the reach of pain. Think of the sky again. The clouds may be dark or bright, heavy or light, fast or slow, but the sky is not affected by their movement. The sky remains open, spacious, unmarked. You can look at a stormy sky and say the sky is troubled, but that is not true. Only the clouds are troubled. The sky is untouched. In the same way, you may say, I am anxious, I am angry, I am hurt, but that is not true. Only the thoughts and emotions are anxious, angry, hurt. The watcher behind them is untouched. The watcher sees the storm, but is not the storm. The watcher sees the cloud, but is not the cloud. Once you know yourself as the sky rather than the clouds, freedom becomes natural as breathing. Another image may help you feel this more deeply. Think of yourself sitting beside a busy road. Cars pass in both directions. Some are fast. These are your frantic thoughts. Some are slow. These are your lazy thoughts. Some are loud, honking their horns. These are your angry emotions. Some are quiet. If you identify with the cars, if you run into the traffic and try to stop them, or try to run with them, you will feel dizzy, you will be overwhelmed, you will be pulled into their motion, you will be run over. But if you remain the watcher sitting safely on the side on the grass, none of the cars touch you. They all pass by. They cannot pull you with them. This is the difference between being the mind and watching the mind. When you are the mind, you are dragged into its chaos. You are in the traffic jam. When you watch the mind, its movements lose their power. You are on the grass. This shift from being the mind to watching the mind is the beginning of awakening, because it breaks the illusion that has kept you trapped for so long. The illusion that you are your thoughts, your feelings, your stories. You are not. You are the consciousness in which all of this appears. When you discover this directly, not as philosophy but as lived experience, a deep peace rises inside you, not because life has changed, the traffic is still there, but because you have stopped confusing yourself with the movements of life. You have come home to the one who never moves. And once the watcher is seen, once the truth of who you are becomes clear, even for a moment, something deeper becomes possible. Something more intimate, something that no teaching, no scripture, no master can give you unless you are ready to receive it. When the watcher is seen, something deeper becomes possible. Once the watcher has revealed itself to you, once you have felt even a single moment of separation from the storm of your mind and the constant hum of your thoughts, something begins to shift in the deepest part of your being. It is not loud, it is not dramatic, it is not a burst of fireworks or a sudden explosion of enlightenment. It is something far softer, far more natural, far more intimate. It is the slow rising of joy, not the joy you have known in the world. Please distinguish this. The world gives you pleasure, not joy. Pleasure is dependent. You eat a sweet, it is pleasure, but then the sweet is gone and the pleasure is gone. You win a lottery, it is excitement, but then the money becomes normal and the excitement dies. I am speaking of a joy without cause, a joy without reason, a joy that comes simply because you have returned to yourself. I want you to stay with this now, because what I am about to open is the living heart of the awakened state, the quiet radiance that begins to fill your life when the false self falls away. Imagine for a moment that you have carried a heavy mask your entire life, a mask built from fear, from expectation, from old wounds and old stories. You wore it to protect yourself. You wore it to be accepted. You wore it because you thought you had to. But the mask was heavy. It was made of lead, and it cut you off from your breath, your softness, your aliveness. Now imagine that slowly, gently, that mask begins to loosen. It begins to crack. It begins to fall away. You do not remove it. You cannot remove it with effort because the hands that would remove it are also wearing gloves of the mask. It simply drops because it no longer fits the face it once clung to. Your face has grown. Your being has expanded. The mask is too small, and underneath, you feel the soft air on your skin for the first time in years. You feel your own presence without distortion. You feel the raw and simple truth of who you are. In that moment, a joy arises, not excitement, not pleasure, but a deep, steady warmth that feels like coming home. That is the joy of being yourself. It is not loud, it is not wild, it is not manic. It is peaceful, quiet, and full. It comes from the center of your being, not from anything outside. This joy does not depend on achievement. You don't have to win a Nobel Prize to feel it. You don't have to become a CEO. It does not depend on admiration. It does not depend on having your life perfectly arranged. It does not come from what you gain. It comes from what you release. And as the false self falls piece by piece, story by story, layer by layer, this joy grows on its own without effort. Like sunlight warming a stone, it spreads through you slowly, softly, naturally, filling the spaces that fear once occupied, flowing into the cracks left behind by old wounds, illuminating the corners where your heart once hid. True joy has nothing to do with excitement. Excitement is a fever, it is a sickness of the mind. Excitement is a wave that rises and falls, rises and falls. It makes you tired. Joy is the ocean beneath it, steady, deep, silent. Excitement depends on something happening. Joy depends on nothing. It is your natural fragrance. When you stop pretending, when you stop performing, when you stop carrying the weight of someone you are not, when you live from the watcher, when you rest in awareness, when you return again and again to the quiet space within, joy becomes your baseline. It becomes your center. It becomes your way of being. When the false self falls, when the masks crumble, when the borrowed identities fade, there is a sudden lightness in your life. You wake in the morning without the usual heaviness. You feel a quiet celebration for no reason. You look at the world with softness instead of resistance. Even ordinary moments feel alive. Drinking tea, watching sunlight on a wall, hearing a bird sing, sitting in stillness. You begin to feel gratitude not because something special has happened, but because you are here, breathing, aware, alive. This is the joy of being yourself, and it requires nothing except that you stop being someone else. There is a simple image that captures this truth. Imagine a bird sitting on a branch singing. It does not sing because someone is clapping. It does not look for an audience. It does not sing to impress the other birds. It does not sing for a reward. It sings because singing is its nature. It sings because it is overflowing with life. Joy is like that. When you return to who you truly are, joy becomes as natural as breathing. It does not need a reason. It does not need validation. It flows from your essence, the way fragrance flows from a flower. If you are beginning to smell this fragrance, if you are feeling the mask loosen, take a moment to breathe it in. And if you wish to help us spread this fragrance to a world that stinks of fear, you can give a super thanks. It is a way of saying, I have received the flower, and here is a drop of water for the garden. And this joy is not the end of the journey. It is the beginning of a new way of being, a new way of relating to the world, a new way of moving through life. Because when joy awakens, when your inner light begins to shine through everything you do, Life itself becomes your teacher. Every moment becomes a doorway. Every challenge becomes a mirror. Every breath becomes a reminder that you are no longer living from the small, contracted self. You are living from your vast, open, natural being. And when this joy awakens, life itself becomes your teacher. As this quiet joy begins to bloom inside you, as the warmth of your own being starts to spread through every corner of your life, you will notice another shift, one that changes not only how you feel inside, but how you move in the world, how you walk, how you breathe, how you touch each moment. What I am about to open for you now is not a technique, it is not a practice, it is not something you add to your life like a new piece of furniture. It is something you uncover, something you rediscover, something you begin to live from without even trying. It is presence, the simple and profound art of being here. And though it sounds so ordinary, so subtle, so easily overlooked, presence is the very fragrance of awakening. Without presence, joy remains a feeling, a fleeting emotion. With presence, joy becomes a way of living. When presence awakens in you, even the most ordinary moments of your life begin to shine with a quiet depth. Drinking tea becomes a meditation. Walking to your door becomes a return to yourself. Washing your face, folding your clothes, listening to the wind, all these simple actions carry a sweetness you never noticed before. Why? Because you are actually there for them. For most of your life, you were not there. You were washing the face, but your mind was in the office. You were drinking the tea, but your mind was arguing with your spouse. You were walking, but your mind was already at the destination. You were a ghost in your own life. Presence turns routine into revelation. It turns the small rituals of daily life into doorways that lead back to your own being. This is why awakening is not separate from life. It is not something that happens in a monastery. It is life lived fully without the fog of past and future covering your eyes. Presence anchors you in the now. It pulls you out of the endless halls of memory which are dead and out of the fantasies of what may come, which are unborn. It pulls you out of the mind's constant spinning. The past loses its heaviness. The future loses its pressure, and you begin to feel a clarity that is deeper than understanding, a clarity that comes from simply being with what is without trying to fix it, without trying to escape it, without trying to make it different. In presence, everything is enough. In presence, everything is complete. In presence, you discover that the moment you are living is the only moment that has ever truly existed. Think about it. Have you ever lived in tomorrow? Can you touch tomorrow? No. When it comes, it is always today. Have you ever lived in yesterday? No. When it was here, it was today. Life is always now, but the mind is never now. Presence ends unconscious living. Before presence awakens, life feels like a dream, a blur, a series of moments you move through as if you were sleepwalking. You react without awareness. You speak without feeling your words. You move without sensing your steps. You eat without tasting. You love without connecting. But when presence returns, it is as if a light turns on inside you. You begin to feel your breath again. You begin to sense your body again. You begin to hear life instead of thinking about it. Everything becomes brighter, more vivid, more alive. The colors of the trees are greener. The sound of the traffic is just sound, not noise. You are no longer a prisoner inside your mind. You are here, and presence brings something else, something precious, simplicity. The mind complicates everything. It builds stories around events. It weaves layers of meaning around simple moments. It turns small challenges into great battles. He looked at me this way, that means he hates me, that means I will lose my job. The mind spins a web. But presence cuts through all that noise. Presence removes what is unnecessary. Presence reveals what is essential. It shows you that life is not nearly as heavy as the mind makes it. When you are present, problems shrink, confusion dissolves, overthinking fades. You feel lighter, clearer, more spacious. There is a small, quiet image I want to bring to you now. Imagine a monk sweeping the floor of a temple. To the outside world, it looks like a simple chore, a menial task. Poor monk, they say, he is just a janitor. But for the monk, every movement of the broom is a movement of awareness. He is not just moving dust, he is moving with the universe. Every stroke is an act of devotion. Every movement is full. He is not rushing to finish sweeping so he can go meditate. The sweeping is the meditation, or imagine yourself drinking tea. If you drink it with your mind somewhere else, worrying about bills, planning dinner, it is just a habit. It is just warm water going down a throat. You miss the tea completely. But if you drink it with presence, with awareness of the warmth in the cup against your palm, the aroma rising to your nose, the taste on the tongue, the movement of swallowing, you touch something sacred in the simplest act. Life becomes meditation. Meditation becomes life. There is no separation. You do not do meditation for 1 hour and then go back to being unconscious. No, your whole life becomes a continuous flow of awareness. And as presence deepens within you, as it becomes not an effort but a natural expression of your awakened joy, you will notice that presence does something else as well. It changes how you relate to the people around you. It softens you. It opens you. It removes the filters that once colored your connections. Presence helps you see others with new eyes, awake eyes, eyes that do not judge, eyes that do not compare, eyes that do not demand. And this shift in seeing is the doorway to a new kind of love, a love that mirrors your inner awakening, and that is where we go next. Presence changes how you walk, but love changes how you relate. As presence grows inside you, as it roots itself in the soft soil of your being, something very tender begins to unfold in the space between you and others, something gentle yet deeply powerful. What I want to open with you now is not a technique for relationships. I am not here to give you marriage counseling or tips on how to win friends. I am here to give you a seeing, a clear seeing into how every relationship in your life reflects who you are within yourself. When presence begins to bloom, love does not suddenly arrive from outside. You do not fall in love, you rise in love. Love rises from within because presence dissolves the barriers you once held around your heart. Presence softens the sharp edges left behind by fear. Presence allows you to relate not from your wounds, but from your wholeness. And when that happens, the people around you stop being obstacles. They stop being threats. They stop being sources of pain. They become mirrors. Mirrors that reveal your inner world with a precision you may not have noticed before. Every person you meet reflects something within you. This is not poetic language. It is the deepest truth of relating. When someone triggers you, they are showing you a part of yourself you've been unwilling to face. If you call them angry, look inside. Where is your suppressed anger? If you call them selfish, look inside. Where is your unaccepted selfishness? When someone inspires you, they are showing you a quality already alive in your being. You cannot see greatness in another unless you have the seed of greatness in yourself. When someone frustrates you, They are stirring a wound that is ready to heal. Do not blame them for the salt. Thank them for showing you the cut. When someone opens your heart, they are revealing your capacity for love. In this way, every relationship, whether painful or beautiful, becomes a doorway back to yourself. And once you see this, once you truly understand that people are not the cause of your inner turmoil, but the mirrors of it, something inside you relaxes. You stop fighting life. You stop blaming others. You stop expecting the world to behave according to your old wounds. Why did she say that? Why did he do that? You stop this childish questioning. You begin to see that the real work is always within. Conflict, when seen with awareness, becomes one of your greatest teachers. Conflict is not a sign that a relationship is broken. Conflict is a sign that two mirrors are touching the same wound. When you look at conflict through presence, through the eyes of the watcher, you begin to see the old patterns behind your reactions, the old fears behind your anger, the old stories behind your hurt. And instead of attacking or defending, which is what the ego loves to do, you begin to soften, you begin to breathe, you begin to look inward instead of outward. Conflict becomes an invitation to grow, an invitation to shed another layer of the false self, an invitation to see the places where you have forgotten your own truth. Love grows when expectation drops. This may be one of the most important secrets you ever discover about relating. Expectation is the shadow of fear. Expectation is the attempt to control how others behave, how they respond, how they show up. If you love me, you must do this. If you are my friend, you must say that. Expectation turns love into a bargain, into a business deal. I give you this, you give me that. That is the marketplace, not the temple of love. But love in its natural form is not a bargain, not a contract, not a negotiation. Love is a flowering. Love is the fragrance of your being. When you remain open and presence dissolves expectation the way sunlight dissolves mist, you begin to see people as they are, not as your wounds want them to be. You stop clinging. You stop demanding. You stop shaping others into images that make you feel safe. And in that freedom, love becomes light. It becomes simple. It becomes true. Connection deepens when the false self dissolves. When you no longer hide behind a mask, when you no longer pretend to be someone you are not, when you no longer fear being seen as you are, something magical happens. You begin to connect in a way that touches the soul. Conversations become honest, not just how is the weather, but how is your heart. Touch becomes healing. Presence flows between you and the other like a silent current. You see the humanity in others, the vulnerability, the longing, the beauty, and they feel seen, they feel met, they feel safe. This is a awake relationship, not a relationship free of conflict or challenge. That is a fantasy. But a relationship where every moment becomes a mirror for awareness, and every interaction becomes an opportunity to love more deeply. To understand this more clearly, imagine polishing a mirror. At first, it is covered with dust, fingerprints, old marks. You look into it and you see a distorted face. You think the face is ugly, but it is just the mirror that is dirty. You wipe it slowly, carefully. And as the dust falls away, the reflection becomes clearer, sharper, more honest. When your inner world is covered in old fears and stories, your relationships reflect those fears and stories. You see enemies everywhere. You see rejection everywhere. But when you begin to polish your inner mirror with presence, with awareness, with truth, your relationships begin to reflect something entirely different: clarity, compassion, depth, love. It is not that the people change, though often they do in response to your change. It is that your seeing changes. Another image. Picture two lamps in a dark room. Each lamp glows on its own. They are independent. They do not need each other to shine. But when placed together, their light merges. The room becomes warmer, brighter, fuller. The shadows disappear completely. Awake relationships are like that. Two beings, each rooted in their own presence, meeting without fear, without demand, without masks. Their light does not compete, it expands. Their connection does not shrink, it deepens. Their relating does not drain, it nourishes. And as love begins to move through your life in this way, free of need, free of demand, free of fear, you discover something profound. You discover that love is not something you do. Love is something you are. Love becomes your way of seeing, your way of listening, your way of touching the world. And once you begin to live from this space, from this awake and open heart, something else begins to call you, something deeper, something softer, something that carries you into the most sacred surrender of all. We are approaching the final stages of this journey now. The mind is quieting, the heart is opening. If you feel this opening, if you feel the mirrors around you cleaning, do not keep it to yourself. Share this video with someone who is a mirror for you, someone you love, or perhaps someone who challenges you. Send it to them as a silent offering. And if you want to help us polish the mirror of the collective consciousness, consider checking our ebooks. They are tools for the polishing cloth. You will find them in the description. And after presence and love, one final piece remains. The space where all things begin and end, the ultimate letting go. As love begins to move in you like a quiet river, as presence anchors you in the soft rhythm of each passing moment, as the walls between you and life grow thin and transparent, you come to the most delicate turning point of this entire journey. What I am about to unfold for you now is not something the mind can practice or control. It is not a method you can do on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It is not a rule written in a holy book. It is not a discipline that requires you to grit your teeth. It is a relaxation so total, so deep, so trusting that the very center of your being begins to breathe in a new way. It is surrender, not the surrender you were taught to fear. In your world, surrender means you are weak. It means you have been conquered. It means you are a slave. I am not speaking of that. I am speaking of the surrender that returns your power to its true source, the surrender that reconnects you to the flow of existence itself. Surrender begins when you stop fighting with life, and for most of your life, without even realizing it, you have been fighting, you have been at war, you have been resisting what is. You have been pushing against reality, trying to shape it, mold it, control it, bend it to your ideas. This should not be happening. He should not be like this. I should be further ahead. The world is wrong. This resistance is subtle. It does not always look like a battlefield. It hides in tension in the neck. It hides in frustration when the traffic light is red. It hides in constant worry about tomorrow. It hides in endless planning. It hides in that quiet, nagging feeling that something is always slightly wrong. Resistance is the invisible weight you carry every day, the heaviness behind your thoughts, the tightness in your chest when things don't go your way. And because resistance has been with you for so long, you have accepted it as normal. You think life is struggle, you think life is stress, but it is not normal, it is simply habitual, and habit is not truth. Every moment of resistance creates pain. Every moment of resisting what is brings suffering. Not because life is cruel, life is just life. The rain falls, is it cruel? The sun shines, is it kind? No, they just are. Suffering comes because you are saying no to the rain when it is raining. You are saying no to the sun when it is shining. Resistance is a refusal to flow with the natural movement of existence. It is like standing in a fast-flowing river with your feet planted firmly in the mud. You are trying to stand still. You are bracing yourself against the current. The water crashes against your body. It pushes you. It tries to move you, and you are exhausted. Every muscle is tense. Every breath is a struggle. You are fighting the river. The river is not fighting you. The river does not even know you are there. The river is just going to the ocean. You are fighting the river. Letting go means lifting your feet. It means relaxing your stance. It means allowing the current to carry you. And the moment you do, the moment you trust the water, the effort stops. The struggle ends. You are no longer battling life. You are moving with it. You are becoming the river. Letting go is releasing the inner tension that has kept you small, kept you frightened, kept you separate from your own depth. Letting go is not passive. Do not misunderstand this. The mind will say, if I surrender, I will become a vegetable. I will do nothing. I will starve. No, surrender is not lethargy. Surrender is not defeat. Surrender is the most profound act of strength because it means trusting something larger than your mind, larger than your plans, larger than your fears. It means trusting that life knows how to carry you. It means trusting that the same intelligence that grows the trees, the same intelligence that moves the stars, the same intelligence that beats your heart without you winding it up like a clock, that same intelligence knows how to unfold your life. It knows how to bring you exactly what you need without your constant interference. Surrender brings clarity. When you stop fighting, when you stop forcing, when you stop chasing outcomes with a desperate grasp, the fog inside your mind begins to clear. Suddenly you can see what is real and what is imagined. You can see what is necessary and what is noise. Surrender opens the space for insight, for intuition, for creativity, for spontaneity. When you are fighting the river, you cannot see the scenery. You are too busy fighting. When you float, you can see the sky, the trees, the birds. You can enjoy the journey. You begin to feel guided from within rather than pushed by fear or pressure from without. You begin to sense a deeper intelligence moving through your life. An intelligence more vast and more subtle than anything your mind could ever construct. There is something I want to tell you now, something that fits only here at this point in your journey, something I could not say at the beginning because you were not ready to hear it. When your being is soft enough to receive it and your awareness is open enough to feel it, this moment did not arrive by accident. This message did not appear because you were bored. It did not appear because you were just scrolling through the internet graveyard. It appeared because your inner world has been calling for a turning point, and life, mysterious, silent, compassionate life, has responded. Whenever a seeker is ready, the right words appear, the right guidance comes, the right doorway opens. This is not coincidence. This is the law of magnetic attraction of the soul. This is the intelligence of existence moving toward you in its own quiet way. You have reached a point in your life where the old ways can no longer hold you. You have outgrown them without even realizing it, like a snake that has outgrown its skin. The skin is tight, it is itchy, it is uncomfortable. The snake must shed it. The thoughts you used to believe now feel too small. They feel like children's clothes on a grown man. The habits you used to rely on now feel heavy. The expectations others placed on you no longer fit the shape of your soul. You are not the person you were even a year ago, and a deeper part of you has already sensed this. That is why this message found you, not because you were searching, but because you were arriving. And I want you to understand something essential here. Readiness does not mean perfection. You do not have to be a saint to be ready. You do not have to be sinless. You do not have to have everything figured out. It does not mean you no longer feel fear or doubt. Even the greatest mystics feel the tremble of the human nervous system. Readiness simply means you have reached the point where remaining the same has become more painful than stepping into the unknown. It means the pain of the bud remaining tight is greater than the risk it takes to blossom. It means your inner flame has become too bright to stay hidden under a basket of fear. It means you are beginning to hear the soft movement of your own truth, even if you don't yet know how to follow it. And tonight or today, whenever this finds you as you listen, that truth is awakening more strongly, more clearly, more fully. This is why your being brought you here. It wanted you to remember that life is not happening against you. The mind thinks life is a conspiracy against it. Why does it rain on my picnic? Why did I lose my wallet? It thinks the universe is out to get it, but the spirit knows life is happening with you. It is a dance partner, not an opponent. It wanted you to feel that the next chapter of your journey is not about effort. It is not about struggle. It is not about force. It is about opening. It is about listening. It is about allowing the deeper intelligence within you to guide you instead of the noise of your mind. When a fruit ripens, does it try to fall? Does it make an effort? Does it hire a consultant to tell it how to fall? No. It simply reaches a point where holding on is no longer possible. Falling becomes natural. When a river overflows its banks, it does not push. It simply reaches a point where movement becomes inevitable. In the same way, you are reaching a point where growth is no longer a choice. It is a natural unfolding. Something in you has ripened. Something in you has softened. Something in you has begun to say, I am ready now. I cannot stay where I was. And that readiness is the key that opens every door ahead of you. The moment a seeker becomes ready, the path begins to reveal itself. The moment you turn inward, the universe turns toward you. The moment you step into your truth, existence steps in to support you. So let this moment sink into you. Do not analyze it. Do not dissect it. Let it move through you like music. Let it breathe inside the deepest part of your chest. Do not rush. Do not force. Do not try to understand everything with your mind. The mind is a small cup. You cannot put the ocean into it. You are not meant to think your way into the next chapter. You are meant to grow into it. And growth does not happen through pressure. It happens through presence. This video is a reminder that your readiness is not something you create. It is something you recognize. It is something you allow. You are standing at the threshold of a new inner life. And this message found you now because your soul whispered for it and the universe listened. If you feel this readiness, if you feel the skin shedding, simply type, "I am ready to flow" in the comments. It is a signal to your own unconscious that the struggle is ending. And if you wish to support the flow of this channel, the Super Thanks button is a beautiful way to participate in the energy exchange. There is another truth you must hear now, a truth that rises only when your being has crossed a certain invisible line, a point where the old world begins to loosen and the new world begins to form inside you. When this readiness awakens, life does not simply change on the surface. Your entire inner landscape rearranges itself. You begin to notice subtle shifts that were always present but drowned out by the noise of your past. A clarity that flickers in moments of stillness, a strength that appears in the space between breaths, a tenderness that opens in the chest without reason. These are not random feelings, these are signs that your inner world is aligning with a deeper rhythm, a rhythm that has been guiding you from the shadows since before you even recognized its presence. And as this alignment deepens, one realization becomes unavoidable. Life has been preparing you for this moment far longer than you have known. Look back at your life. Look at the tragedies. Look at the failures. Look at the heartbreaks. At the time, they seemed meaningless. They seemed cruel. But now, with the eyes of awakening, look again. Every challenge you faced was chiseling you. Every confusion you carried was forcing you to seek deeper answers. Every pain you endured was deepening your capacity for compassion. Every ending that left you breathless was making space for a new beginning. All of it was part of your ripening. All of it was polishing you, softening you, shifting you toward this point where you can finally hear what your soul has been whispering all along. You thought you were breaking, you were opening, you thought you were being abandoned, you were being redirected, you thought you were lost, you were being guided, and now, standing here with your awareness open and your being more receptive than it has ever been, you can finally sense the thread, the golden thread that has been woven through every moment of your life, a thread leading you toward awakening. But awakening is not a loud event. I must repeat this because the mind craves drama. The mind wants a lightning bolt. It wants angels blowing trumpets. But reality is not a Hollywood movie. Awakening comes gently, quietly, softly. It comes the way dawn comes. Have you ever watched the dawn? First it is dark, then there is a slight gray, then a hint of color, then the birds start singing, then the sun peeks over the horizon. It is slow, it is gradual, it is unnoticed until the world is full of light. You do not wake up all at once, you wake up moment by moment, breath by breath, recognition by recognition, and this message is part of that awakening. This moment is part of that dawn. Something inside you has already shifted because readiness is not passive, it is movement, it is momentum, it is the soul leaning toward its own expansion. You are not who you were yesterday, you are not who you were an hour ago. Your being is unfolding like a flower that has waited through many seasons. It waited through the winter of unconsciousness. It waited through the storms of emotional turmoil. And now that the sunlight has finally touched it, it cannot remain closed. When readiness enters your life, your existence begins to reorient itself You start meeting the right people at the right time. You start receiving the right insights, even from the smallest moments, a leaf falling, a child laughing, a car honking. Everything becomes a scripture. You hear things differently, you feel things differently, you respond to life not from habit but from presence. This is how awakening begins. Not with fireworks, but with subtle shifts that slowly become undeniable. And now, as you continue listening, as you allow these words to settle inside you like seeds falling into fertile soil, a new seed is planting itself within your awareness. The seed of trust. Trust in your own timing. Trust in your own unfolding. Trust in the intelligence that has brought you here. Trust in the quiet voice inside you that has never stopped calling, never stopped guiding, never stopped waiting. You are ready not because you forced yourself to be, but because your being has chosen this moment. Your readiness is your proof. Your presence is your doorway. Your awareness is your beginning. And the more you soften into this truth, the more clearly you will see that the path ahead is not something you must create. It is something you must allow. And as this surrender deepens, as your body loosens its old tension and your mind releases its last attempts to manage every detail of your life, which was impossible anyway, a new doorway silently opens before you. It does not announce itself. It does not shimmer with certainty. It appears as a quiet, open space, a space that feels both inviting and unknown at the same time. And what I am about to open with you now is the most delicate step of all, because it asks you to trust something the mind has always feared. It asks you to trust the unknown. The mind clings to the known. The known is dead. The known is the past. The known is what you have already lived. If you stay in the known, you are just a graveyard. You are repeating the same old song. To live is to step into the unknown. Not the unknown of danger, that is the mind's projection. Not the unknown of chaos, but the unknown of pure possibility. The unknown of your own unfolding. The unknown where your true life begins. The mind fears what it cannot predict. It fears what it cannot label. It fears what it cannot control. And because the unknown cannot be mapped, there is no GPS for the soul. The mind treats it as a threat. Do not go there. It says, there be dragons. But the unknown is not a threat. The unknown is the very womb of transformation. Everything beautiful in your life was born from the unknown. Think about it. The love you didn't expect. Did you plan it? No. It came from the unknown. The opportunities you never planned, the insights that came from nowhere, the moments that changed you forever, they all came from the mystery. The unknown is not darkness. The unknown is life waiting to reveal itself. When you step into the unknown, you allow your life to become a living, breathing movement instead of a rigid script. You allow intuition to guide you. You allow your deeper wisdom to rise to the surface. You allow yourself to be shaped by something greater than thought. This is why the unknown is sacred. It is the field in which your soul grows. It is the ground where the seeds of your awakening begin to break open. The heart grows when it enters the unknown. You can feel this even now. The mind tightens when I speak of the unknown. It says, give me a guarantee, give me a map. But the heart softens. The heart becomes curious. The heart wants to open. The heart is an adventurer. Trust is not a mental decision. You cannot say, I have decided to trust. That is just another thought. Trust is an inner softening, a melting, a willingness to let life touch you without hiding behind old stories and old defenses. Trust is the moment you stop asking life to follow your plan and begin allowing life to reveal its own plan through you. Imagine stepping into a dark room. At first, it seems uncertain, mysterious, unclear. You are afraid you might bump into furniture. But as your eyes adjust, not by force, but by simple presence, you begin to see that the room is warm, gentle, alive with beauty you could not see from the outside. Or imagine planting a seed in the soil. You do not know how it will grow. You do not know which direction it will turn. You do not know when its first leaf will break the surface. But you trust the process, you trust the soil, you trust the rain, you trust the seed. And because of that trust, the seed grows into something you could never have predicted. This is how the unknown works. It is not empty, it is full of unseen doors, full of new beginnings, full of deeper layers of your own being waiting to be discovered. When you learn to trust the unknown, when you surrender into it with openness instead of fear, life becomes an adventure rather than a burden. Every moment brings something new. Every experience becomes a teaching. Every breath becomes a bridge to something deeper. You stop being a tourist in your own life, clutching a guidebook written by others. You become a traveler with no map, but with a compass in the heart. And as you stand here at the edge of this unknown, you might feel alone. The mind says, but if I let go of the crowd, I will be alone. Yes, you will be alone, but there is a vast difference between loneliness and aloneness. Loneliness is a sickness. It is missing the other. It is begging for attention. It is a hole you try to fill. Aloneness is a presence. It is the fullness of being just yourself. It is not missing anyone. It is enjoying the company of the universe. When you trust the unknown, you move from loneliness to aloneness. You become a sovereign being, a light unto yourself. If you are brave enough to step into this unknown, to throw away the map and follow the compass of the heart, I invite you to join our community of travelers. Click the join button. We are walking into the mystery together. And for those who want to understand the nature of this trust, the nature of this aloneness, our ebooks provide the lantern for the dark room. We have one final part of this journey remaining, the integration, the return, how to live this truth in the marketplace, in the family, in the noise of the world. Because awakening is not for the mountaintop, it is for the Monday morning. It is easy to be peaceful in the Himalayas. The mountains are silent. They do not argue with you. The trees are non-judgmental. They do not ask you for rent. But if your peace is so fragile that it breaks the moment you enter the marketplace, it is not peace. It is just isolation. And so we come to the final, most crucial understanding of this communion. How to live this truth in a world that is still asleep. How to carry this fragile lamp of awareness into the winds of society without letting it flicker and die. Many seekers make a mistake here. They think, now that I am awakening, I must leave the world. I must quit my job, leave my family, go to an ashram, wear orange robes. I say to you, no, that is cowardice. That is escaping. And where will you escape to? Wherever you go, you will take your mind with you. You will find problems in the ashram too. The food will not be good. The master will not look at you enough. The other seekers will be annoying. The world is not the problem. Your attachment to the world is the problem. You must learn the art of the lotus flower. The lotus grows in the mud. The water is dirty. The soil is dark. But the flower floats above it, untouched by the mud, unwet by the water. It uses the mud as food. It transforms the filth into fragrance. You must be in the world, but not of the world. This is the ultimate test of your transformation. Can you go to your office and remain the watcher? Can you sit in a business meeting where people are shouting and egos are clashing and remain in your inner center? If you can, then your meditation has become a reality. If you cannot, then go back to the cushion. You still have work to do. Work becomes worship when you add awareness to it. You have been taught that work is a curse, that you must work hard to survive. But when you are awake, work becomes a form of play. It becomes a role you act. Imagine you are an actor on a stage. You are playing the role of a businessman or a doctor or a carpenter. You play the role perfectly. You say the lines with passion. You cry real tears. But deep down, you know, I am not this role. When the curtain falls, I will go home. Live your life like that. When you are a mother, play the role of the mother fully. Love the child, care for the child, but know that you are the vast consciousness in which the mother and the child appear. When you are a boss, be a boss. Be firm if you need to be. Make decisions, but do not let the power enter your head. Do not let the success become your identity. It is just a coat you wear from 9 to 5. When you live this way, a great lightness enters your actions. You are no longer burdened by the results. The Bhagavad Gita calls this nishkam karma, action without desire for the fruit. You act because the moment calls for action, not because you are greedy for the outcome. And paradoxically, when you stop grasping for the results are often better. Because your mind is clear, your energy is not divided by anxiety. You are fully present in the act itself. This is the secret of the masters. They work harder than anyone, but they are never tired. Why? Because they are not carrying the psychological weight of the work. They are flowing. You must bring the sacred into the mundane. Religion has created a great divide. It says the church is sacred, but the supermarket is profane. It says the prayer is holy, but the laughter is worldly. I want to destroy this divide. God is not only in the temple. If God is anywhere, He is everywhere. If He is not in the supermarket, He cannot be in the church. So, when you are shopping for vegetables, be as meditative as when you are praying. Touch the tomato with reverence. It is a gift of the sun and the earth. Pay the cashier with gratitude. Look into their eyes. See the divine hiding behind the uniform. Make every act a ceremony. Cooking food is a ceremony. Cleaning the house is a ceremony. Taking a shower is a ceremony. Water falling on your body. Feel it. It is life touching you. When you live this way, you do not need to go to a temple. Your whole life becomes a temple. Wherever you walk becomes holy ground. But be warned, the world will try to pull you back. The sleeping people do not like it when someone wakes up. It insults their sleep. It reminds them that they are dreaming. They will try to provoke you. They will try to make you angry, to make you fearful, to make you just like them. They will say, "Why are you so happy? Do you not see the economy is crashing? Do you not see the wars?" They will want you to join their misery club. Do not be angry with them. Have compassion. They are acting out of their own pain. But do not join them. Keep your frequency high. Your greatest service to the world is your own joy. You cannot help a drowning man if you jump into the water and start drowning with him. You must stay on the bank and throw a rope. Your silence is the rope. Your joy is the rope. And sometimes you will fail. You will get angry. You will get lost in a worry. You will forget the watcher. Do not judge yourself. This is important. The ego loves to judge. It will say, look at you. You watched that video, you thought you were spiritual, and now you are shouting at the traffic. You are a fake. Do not listen to that voice. That is just the mind trying to regain control through guilt. Simply acknowledge it. Ah, I fell asleep. I got lost. And gently, without judgment, come back. Come back to the breath. Come back to the present. The path is not a straight line. It is a dance. You stumble, you get up, you keep dancing. The goal is not to never fall. The goal is to shorten the time it takes to get up. Before, you might have stayed angry for 3 days. Now, you stay angry for 3 hours. Soon, 3 minutes. One day, the anger will arise and dissolve in 3 seconds, like a line drawn on water. That is mastery. And as you integrate this truth into your life, you will see that you become a magnet. People will be drawn to you without knowing why. Animals will trust you. Children will smile at you because you are vibrating at the frequency of life itself. You are no longer emitting the static noise of anxiety. You are emitting the music of being. You become a healing force just by walking down the street. This is what the world needs right now. We do not need more politicians. We do not need more philosophers. We do not need more influencers telling us what to buy. We need more awakened human beings. We need people who are sane, people who are grounded, people who are not driven by fear and greed. You are the seed of that new humanity. Do not think you are insignificant. I am just one person. What can I do? One candle can light 1,000 other candles without losing its own light. You are that candle. By changing your own consciousness, you change the consciousness of the whole. You are not separate from the whole. You are a wave in the ocean. If the wave rises, the ocean rises. So do not worry about saving the world. That is an ego trip. Save yourself. And in saving yourself, you serve the world in the only way that matters. Now, a final word on the nature of this journey. Do not become serious. Spiritual people often become very serious. They have long faces. They look like they are carrying a cross. They think laughter is a sin. I say to you, laughter is the most spiritual sound on earth. Laughter breaks the ego. You cannot laugh and have an ego at the same time. In a belly laugh, the mind stops. If you cannot laugh, you have missed the point. Life is not a problem to be solved. It is a mystery to be lived. It is a cosmic joke. God is not a serious judge sitting on a cloud. God is a dancer. God is a player. The Hindus call the universe Leela, divine play. So be playful. Don't take your spirituality too seriously. Don't take yourself too seriously. If you trip and fall, laugh. If you make a mistake, laugh. A laughing mystic is far closer to truth than a serious saint. Be a Zorba the Buddha. This is my vision for you. Zorba represents the earth, the body, the wine, the dance, the joy of the senses. Buddha represents the sky, the soul, the silence, the awareness. Usually people choose one. The materialist chooses Zorba and forgets the soul. He becomes empty. The monk chooses Buddha and forgets the body. He becomes dry. I want you to be both. Feet firmly on the ground, enjoying the beauty of the world, eating, dancing, loving, and head high in the stars, silent, aware, eternal. Be a synthesis, be whole, do not reject anything. Accept your humanity, and in that acceptance, you will find your divinity. As we come to the end of this transmission, I want you to feel the journey we have taken. We started with the restlessness, the call. We moved through the layers of the false self, the prison of conditioning. We faced the shadow of fear and the trap of control. We entered the silence. We awakened the watcher. We discovered the joy of being. We learned to walk with presence and relate with love. We surrendered to the unknown, and now we stand in the marketplace, ready to live this truth. This video is coming to an end, but your journey is just beginning. Do not let these words fade into memory. Do not let this be just another piece of content you consumed. Make a commitment to yourself, not to me, but to the God within you. Commit to taking one step today, just one. Maybe you will sit in silence for 10 minutes. Maybe you will forgive someone. Maybe you will walk in nature without your phone. Maybe you will just take a deep breath and say, thank you. Whatever it is, do it. Action seals the understanding, and remember, you are not alone. There are thousands of others listening to this, just like you, feeling this same pull, waking up in different corners of the world. We are a silent revolution, an invisible web of light covering the planet. Feel that connection. You are part of something vast. If this message has touched your core, if it has watered the seed in your heart, I ask you to complete the circle of energy. Subscribe to the channel. This is not just a button. It is a way of staying connected to this stream of consciousness. It is a way of saying, I want more of this light in my life. Like the video. It helps the algorithm find other sleeping souls who are waiting for this wake-up call. You become a messenger just by clicking a button. Share it. Send it to the people you love. Send it to the people you struggle with. You never know when a heart is ready to crack open. You might be the catalyst for someone else's miracle. If you feel a deep gratitude, a desire to give back, the super thanks button is below. It allows us to continue this work, to reach more people, to keep the fire burning. It is an act of grace. And for those who want to walk deeper, who want the maps and the tools for the daily journey, become a member. Click join, or find our ebooks in the description. They are companions for your bedside table, reminders of who you are when the world tries to make you forget. I leave you now, but I am not leaving you. In the silence, we meet. In the awareness, we are one. Go now, step into your life. The door is open, the sky is clear, the fear is a shadow. You are ready. You have always been ready. You just needed to remember. Be a light unto yourself.